hope a lot of people have joined, so we can start this session. Welcome to IQRA IAS, this Google Meet. So on behalf of the management and everyone from the team, I welcome you all. So we'll be going step by step. So this meeting is mainly for a doubt session. So all of you, those who have doubts, they can continue raising their hands and posting questions one by one. We'll try to give answers to all of you. So let us start. And some of you can even send your questions in the chat box. It will be better if you switch on your mics and then ask question one by one.
Sir, there's one question in chat. Please check it.
Yeah. How was the year? How was this year's geography question trends? Continues from the past. Okay, there's a question. How was this year geography questions trend continues from the past year? So how was this year's geography question in GS exam? I hope you have checked the question paper. All of you have seen the questions. I would say that geography questions were quite understandable. They were not very difficult questions. And applied aspect was there. Always, we have been telling everyone that yes, knowing this concept is important and application is also very, very essential. So please go through these applied aspects, and questions were also applied. Question was asked on desertification, question was asked on the water management, or especially this interlinking rivers. And this question has been repeated third time, right? The question was asked on one question from physical geography. So questions were not very difficult. They were all from the topics that we have discussed, or anyone who has studied geography for 1 year and done the homework will feel comfortable in geography. So expected questions, not very difficult. And one question from physical geography that was like Pacific, Circum-Pacific Belt, and so on. So questions were easy, not something very challenging. So the trend possibly will continue next year also, and this is how UPSC will be focusing, hopefully, because we can't predict the trend in UPSC, it's so uncertain. But still, I would say that applied aspects will be very important, right? And there were times when a lot of questions were asked on physical geography. Now we get just 1 or 2 questions from physical geography. But still, the other questions which were asked can be answered only if you have a very good knowledge and you know how to interrelate concepts, right? So possibly the same trend will be next year as well. So for that, you need to keep yourself updated with current aspect. You should be reading newspapers carefully and relating the current aspect with the conceptual geography, right?
So can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, there is one question. Describe the geophysical features of Pacific belt this year. How to write for 150 words, sir? We know the answer, but we want to write for 150 words. It's becoming difficult, sir. We want to give introduction. How to give introduction, sir? We know volcanoes will, earthquakes will happen, but how to write it for 150 words, sir?
Yeah, I got the question. And I would say that this problem will be there with most of the questions, in the sense that the challenge is to contain everything in 150 words, or the writing everything in less words is always a challenge. And the second question, what you asked about how to write introductions and other things. See, I'll tell you one thing. Don't worry about introduction and much in these topics. You can straight away start the question. I mean your answer, the geophysical features. So just one line about geophysical features would be good enough, right? The geophysical features include mountain ranges, the volcanoes and trenches and so on. Right? This would be good enough in introduction. And then you have to explain how these geophysical features were formed. So there should be one paragraph on the formation of volcanoes, not explaining plate tectonics, just straight away writing in one word that lithospheric plates are mobile, they slide on asthenosphere. And the Pacific plate being an oceanic plate subducts under the continental plates which it surrounds and can lead to volcanic eruption. So these are volcanoes. And just add one line, one more example of volcanoes, like there's a coastal range in North America, or there are some volcanoes in Philippines region, you write that. Then you come to the next paragraph, should be more about the formation of trenches in Pacific Ocean, because the compression happens and there's fault lines on the oceanic beds and lead to the trenches. And trenches are formed on the western. Name 2-3 trenches, like Mariana Trench is one, and Mindanao Trench is another, Aleutian Trench is another example. And then come to the mountain aspects, mountain ranges to this. So we have prominent mountain fold mountain ranges on the western part of USA and western part of South America, and also some mountains in the eastern side. So you can say that the sedimentation which occurs at the fringes of Pacific Ocean, they're getting compressed to form the fold mountains without elaborating much into this, without getting into the plate tectonics. So just 2 lines explanation for all the geophysical features would be good enough. Towards the end, you can write that these regions are also known for other disasters like tsunamis and earthquakes. So the prediction of tsunami and earthquakes must be done. We should work look for the forecasting of these disasters, so that millions' lives can be saved. And something of that can be a format.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So this is for everyone. The challenge would be to write everything in few words. Right. That is what is the main challenge. But take it. Don't worry. You will practice. You keep writing. You will gradually understand that. Yes, we have one more question from Shivani. Question is, sir, any tips for what should be the strategy for preparation since nearly 4 months left? Okay, the strategy, Shivani strategy, and for everyone, the strategy should be very simple. Let us not complicate preparation. The strategy is that we should be, by the mid of February, you should be very thorough with the concepts. All the mains aspects should get done now. We should wrap up all this, especially those who are taking prelims. I guess most of you are taking prelims for the first time. So you should wrap up your preparations of mains by this time, by mid of February. And when you prepare for mains, you automatically prepare for prelims also. It's not that you have been studying something different. Like 80% of your prelims preparation is done in the mains, and vice versa. When you study for prelims, you collect a lot of information which will be used for the mains examination also. So that's an integrated. But specifically, I'm saying that mid of February onwards, you should focus on prelims aspect. As in, I would suggest that please don't overlook CSAT. Don't look at, don't be, overconfident at times. I've seen a lot of people feeling very confident in CSAT paper, but unfortunately they could not clear the prelims, right? So work upon that part, right? One. Second, now you should be very specific about your books. What you should do is, for geography, suppose these NCERTs or whatever books we have suggested, you should work upon that. For history, for polity, whatever experts have given you the suggestions for books, you should, keep these books next to you, and you can leave those books, rest of the books right now, right? Then I would say synthesize, or rather, concise your current affairs now. This is the time where you should start, concising your current affairs. And by mid of March, or maybe even on 30th of March, make sure that you make a complete revision of all the topics, all the books that like history, polity, geography, economy, current affairs. All that should be done within this next 1.5 months. April, go back to the revision, right? Make sure that you revise your topics, your all components, at least 4 times before you take the exam. And that's quite possible. It might seem right now very overambitious or impractical, but please do that. Because if the first revision will take 1.5 months or 2 months, the second revision will not take much. It will take 1 month time. Then third revision will take just 15-20 days, right? And then fourth revision will be just a rapid go through. I just want you people to focus on this way preparation, that you go for at least 3 to 4 revisions, so that before prelims, just 2 days before the prelims, you can go through all the syllabus, all the components, and browse through everything. Because the prelims examination is more of the factual aspect, right? It's more about there's a lot of pressure in prelims, a lot of pressure, because you just get 2 hours to do everything and so many components in one paper. So make sure that you revise, and whatever new that you study may not be so useful right now. So finish up all this preparation by this end of the month, and focus on prelims. By saying prelims, I mean go through revisions, do repeated revisions. And in between that, you can also take some individual tests, such as component-based tests, like say history test, then polity test, then geography tests. Make sure, identify your mistakes, right? Because in objective type questions, we make a lot of mistakes. We don't read questions carefully, or mark it wrong. So test series would be extremely helpful right now. So go through those tests, right, and solve maximum number of questions. So have the periodical test, like after 3 days take a test, after, or maybe some 4 days you take a test. So weekly at least 2 to 3 tests you should consider. Right, that is my suggestion to all of you now. And revision is the key, I must say that. Okay, Abhishek has a question: how to evaluate our preparation week by week? And I've just give you a suggestion. Test is the best way to evaluate. See, previous year question papers are also there, but the previous year question papers will be not that useful, because you just get like 10, 12 questions from a component in 1 year. So you solve more number of questions, right? Don't look for the score, whether you are like, suppose you solve 100 questions and then suddenly you have, more questions there. It's better that you don't solve them for scores, but for your comfort level. Right, so this is how you can evaluate your answers. So week by week, if you're improving, then okay, then no problems. You can take your prelims. Right. Then Abhinav has a question: sir, my first attempt will be in 22. That is, I hope 2022, and I'm watching lectures regularly with college. I'm not able to revise notes regularly, sir. What should be my strategy for 22 from now? And also, sir, how should I start answering? Okay. Abhinav, you have to write prelims in, like, if you have to take attempts, I would rather say you have to take mains, because we assume that you will clear prelims on 22. So you have just good enough time. I'm not saying that you have a lot of time. You just have good enough time. You don't worry about prelims as of now, right? For those who are taking exam next year or maybe after that, don't rush to the prelims preparation. Mains is good. Like, you should follow only mains preparation right now till next year. Next year February you can shift to the prelims preparation, right? First of all, so get it clear. If you're not getting time to look at the lectures and so on, you have the option that you can see those lectures again. You have the option. That is one thing good about these classes, that you can watch them again and again, and you can also get to. We will arrange these sessions, like doubt sessions, and you can get in touch with us. But still, I would say, find out time. And if you are busy with the college preparations or college exams or the studies there, still I would say that at least 4 hours of the day you must take out. Maybe 2 hours in the evening, 2 hours in the morning, or 1 hour during the daytime. 4 to 5 hours, it's quite manageable, I guess, even with the college. And go component by component. Like, if you're studying whatever classes that you're taking in a week or in a month, please ensure that you can revise these concepts. You can revise these concepts within a month itself. And for 22, writing answers will be too early right now, although you should start writing if you can find out time. Very good. But start from the June. By the time all your components get over, you have the ample knowledge. A lot of people ask me that how can we start preparing, writing answers? So I tell them, first you read. See, writing answers would require a lot of content, right? We can't write stories there. No, we should have a lot of content. We should have a lot of information for that. So first, let us gather information. Once you're done with these components, all the components of general studies, then take the questions. And questions like, we will be giving you questions in classes, a lot of, whatever, whoever teaches in the class, every professor will give you some questions to write in a particular topic. You can look at the previous year question papers from the mains exam, collect those information, collect those questions, and then start writing topic by topic, component by component. But make sure that you go through these components first, right? So I would suggest for 22, keep reading, keep working. In June, you can shift to a new gear, and that would be writing answers. So you're studying a component in topic in geography or history or polity, take previous year question papers from there, collect some more questions, which is quite available from our side, which will be there on the websites also, and then write answers, right? Then write answers, and gradually you would realize mistakes, and continue this preparation till next year, January or February, and then shift the gear towards prelims, right? How to cover topics from GS3 like cropping pattern, irrigation and processing and related industries. Okay, very good. Siddharth has a question which is very relevant question, especially related to cropping patterns, irrigations. Don't worry, Siddharth. To everyone, we will be covering these topics in geography. These topics are mentioned in General Studies paper 3, but right in my, I think the first lecture I said that geography that we study is actually for General Studies paper 1 and paper 3. So we still haven't done the economic geography part, right? Human and economic geography part. In economic geography, we will discuss the cropping pattern of India. We will discuss the irrigation of India. We will discuss in industries, the distribution of industries. This is one aspect, geographical aspect. And for that, if you have NCERTs with you, you can look at the cropping pattern of India. In those NCERTs mentioned, agriculture is there. And then you have to be updated with the new research and new happenings. Just say, for example, we are talking about the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution has changed the cropping pattern of rice, wheat, cotton. Every part of India, the cropping pattern has altered. So that aspect should also be included. And industry is there in economy as well as in geography. So geographical aspect will be covered, and you have to update from the economic aspect point of view as well. Clear? So it will be taken care. All these topics will be taken care in the geography classes itself. So don't worry about it. Right? Abdul has a question. 2019 mains a question. How do ocean currents and water masses affect marine life and coastal reefs? Taking it as an example, how we approach these type of questions. Okay, Abdul, the question was what are the factors affecting ocean currents? I'm just telling you the question. What was the question? It was what are the factors affecting ocean currents? How ocean currents affect navigation, trade, climate, and then the aquatic life, right? Something like that. This was a question. So ocean currents are a very intricate phenomenon. If you have gone through ocean currents, there in every ocean current, when we were discussing, so say for example, Gulf Stream, we discussed that what will be the impact on the climate, what will be the impact on the climate of USA. And then we also have we had a discussion of formation of fishing grounds. And then when we discussed El Nino, we also discussed that there was a warm ocean current destroying fishing grounds. This is one example. Second example is the Clive Wilkinson report, which says the effect of global warming of this rapid heating of El Nino because of ocean currents, leading to the coral bleaching, coral reefs destroyed. Right. So these are effects on aquatic life. So how to approach such questions? Approach is very simple. The question has been formatted. You just have to write the sequential, that how ocean currents and water masses. So how ocean currents generate, what is the effect of this on, first we'll look at the economic aspect. Yeah, first we'll look at the climate, then economic aspect, then we'll look at the aquatic life. So fishing is an example. You can take an example of coral reef. You can also take an example of changing salinity and effect of the change in salinity here. Towards the end of this class session, geography session, I will be taking out some current-based topic. The topic is like now North Atlantic overturning meridional circulation, or the new changes that have taken place. So you will get some input there as well, right? Mr. Sandhi has a question. Please explain how monsoon get affected by El Nino and any other wind. Okay, how monsoon is affected. If you have the notes for El Nino, like what we discussed in the classes, if you have that session. So we had discussed that monsoon, southwest monsoon gets adversely affected by El Nino, and northeast monsoon is actually getting stronger because of El Nino. Now, why is it so? It is because when we talk about El Nino, we talk about the southern hemisphere becoming warmer. The Pacific Ocean becomes warmer because the currents, when they reverse, eastern part of Pacific Ocean is warmer than the western part of Pacific Ocean. And then you have this warm water circulating in the southern hemisphere. So if the temperature of the southern hemisphere is warmer than usual, then the low pressure will develop, right? Higher the temperature, higher the temperature, lesser is the pressure. So if the pressure is low there, and for southwest monsoon, we also require a low pressure in northern plains of India or say peninsular India. So what happens if both places have a low pressure zone? Winds cannot blow. Winds can blow only if one has a high pressure, other has a low pressure. So the pressure gradient between northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere reduces. So southwest monsoon therefore gets weaker because winds cannot blow from southern hemisphere, right? It has a higher temperature and low pressure conditions, right? So this way it adversely affects monsoon. And yes, monsoon is affected by so many factors. I think 2020 itself, there was a news in December that there are some jet streams which are affecting monsoon. I have covered this particular topic in the discussion on droughts. So you will, when you get the class of droughts, you will get this idea that how El Nino has getting rather other than El Nino, how monsoon is affected. So you would get this in the class for the droughts, right? And still, if you have doubts, you can ask in between also. I feel confident. I keep going to the books like NCERT's other PDF available online, and that is okay. I am IT professional and thus I get less time also. Okay, Abhishek Devedi has this question that you feel comfortable in the classes, but when you read a lot of PDF and a lot of material or NCERTs, then you feel, for writing especially, you don't feel much confidence. Abhishek, I don't know whether it's your first attempt or not. If this is your first attempt, it's perfectly all right to feel underconfident for writing. Perfectly all right. Don't worry at all. Right? It is, you have, all the reason to feel underconfident when you for writing. Fine. Number one. So we'll discuss how to get confidence in writing. Number one. Number two, you have a question that you get less time, just 4 hours. Fine. It's not the number of hours that you have. It's how to utilize these 4 hours. How efficient you are in these 4 hours. So it's not that how many hours do you spend with books. It is like how many hours do you get out of this? Like how many topics do you get out of it? So you have to be very efficient, very efficient. Like IT professional, processors very well, right? So you have to go for a very strong processing that in less time you can understand a lot. And for that, you need to think a lot. When I say processor, I mean thinking a lot. So when you're working also, when you're traveling, when you're coming back home, going for work, in the work, you keep thinking about topics that you've studied today and keep thinking that what kind of questions can be asked, how can the only reason that we feel underconfident is because we don't think, right? We cram, we grab things, we cram, but we don't think over them. So please think and talk to yourself. Keep talking to yourself. Doesn't matter what people say. It hardly matters what they say, and you should not be bothered about that. Keep talking to yourself and keep thinking on these concepts or the information that you have collected, facts that you have collected. So once you do so, or do these things, you will be very confident. Don't worry. Gradually, confidence will come because we haven't thought yet. That's why you feel underconfident. And one very dangerous thing that is there, that you're collecting a lot of PDF and you're collecting a lot of things. The more you collect, more confused you're going to get, because the languages would vary, the diagrams would vary, expressions would vary. Although they are saying this, all of them say the same thing. It's not that El Nino will be defined in a different way, or agriculture will be defined in a different way, or history will be defined in a different way. All of them have the same information, but obviously the presentation varies. It's like when you go to purchase certain things and you have different colors and you don't know which color to buy because you see a lot of them, right? And every color looks good because every teacher has worked, every writer has worked. So every material seems to be important, but you have to decide which color do you want. You have to decide what is your choice, what is your comfort zone. In which fashion, which color do you feel comfortable? So exactly in the same way, you have to choose a note, you have to choose a book which will give you confidence rather than getting confused. Right? It's perfectly all right. I understand, but then you should also understand that reading more books will never get you good results. Reading more number of times the same book. So I said it in many classes that reading 10 books one time is of no use. Read one book 10 times. Right? So that will be the solution. So more you read, more you think, and pause and ponder, without which you cannot get confidence. So please work on this, think more, and you will be confident. Don't worry. So the higher concentration of dust particles found in subtropical and comparative. Okay. Pratik Yadav has a question that why the higher concentration of dust particles is found in subtropical and temperate region as compared with the equatorial and polar regions. Pratik, see first subtropical region. Take out the notes and refer to the classes in pressure belts. In pressure belts, we have discussed this subtropical high pressure belt. And there I must have explained, I'm sure I've explained this, that air masses, when they subside, they cannot cause rain, right? Because the relative humidity will be higher and so on. Relative humidity will not reach up to saturation limit and cannot cause rain. And you can relate this topic from the humidity precipitation class also. So if the rainfall doesn't take place, dust particles do not settle. Right. So because of that, we have more dust particles in atmosphere, number one. Number two, subtropical regions also have a lot of deserts, a lot of dryness, like Sahara, like Atacama, like Thar Desert of India. And because of higher continentality, you have more dust particles in atmosphere, which do not settle down. Same thing is the case with the temperate areas also. So two answers to your question. Look at the map and you would see a lot of continental regions in subtropical belt, and there is no rainfall in the region. Rainfall is very less because of subsidence of air masses. Right? That's why we have more dust particles. At equator, every day there's a rainfall. Every day there's a rainfall. 4 o'clock rains, convection rainfall. So dust particles settle down. In polar areas, you might find that there's a high pressure, there's dryness, but then most of the regions remain covered under ice. Right, most of the regions are covered under ice, so you don't have dust particles there. Dust particles are found when there's erosion and wind blow, etc., can lift the dust particles in atmosphere. So that is the reason why we have less dust particles in polar areas and equatorial areas. Namdev, I have read NCERTs and class notes. Is it enough, or should I go for GC Leong? Okay. If you have read NCERTs and read class notes, so should you go for GC Leong? I would say if you are done, you have covered NCERTs thoroughly, and you have gone through classes and class notes you have taken down, then what is the problem in going for GC Leong? Of course, go through that GC Leong. It will enhance your knowledge. Of course, you should go. You should read GC Leong, but read it fast, because all the concepts that are required have already been covered, right, in NCERTs. You should be taking little time to go through that. So I don't say no to GC Leong. I just say that you should go to GC Leong only when you have gone through NCERTs and classes properly. After that, you can take out. There's no problem with that. Right? But while GC Leong, be fast. Right? So please explain Indian Ocean Dipole concept. This is Mayuri. Indian Ocean Dipole concept. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll explain Indian Ocean Dipole concept. What is the next? Iske baad kaun sa question? How to prepare Atlas. Okay. El Nino and La Nina are seen. Okay. So these two questions I would handle simultaneously. One question says La Nina, El Nino, La Nina and El Nino are the same. No, they are not same. They're different. La Nina is exactly reverse of El Nino. So what you see in El Nino, dryness in India, you would see very heavy rainfall in India. There's a very heavy rainfall in the sense that La Nina increases the intensity of southwest monsoon. Clear? So they're opposite, exactly opposite. One is called as boy and a male child, and the other is called a female child, opposite. And so La Nina causes heavy rainfall for India, and El Nino brings dryness, like drought-like conditions. And exactly reverse of that. You can say the normal phenomena is El Nino. Intensification of the normal phenomenon is El Nino. When ocean currents come from east to west, and the normal phenomena blows, that is what is called as La Nina. Okay. Do we need to correlate geography with newspapers? Of course. Rather, do you need to correlate geography with the newspapers? Rudresha. Okay. Rather, I would say you should correlate, newspapers with geography. Whenever you read any drought, flood, rainfall, some phenomena in newspapers, you should find out in geography. Easily, you can find out in geography. You should write it. That is what is the key. Right? And not just geography, other components also. You read a newspaper, you find a news, and then you can always, you should go to the other, connect it with your respective subject. Very important. Okay. I'll discuss this Indian Ocean dipole. Mayuri, she asked this Indian Ocean dipole. Just give me a minute. So some of you can focus here. Right? Indian Ocean dipole. I just briefly go through that. And this is suppose eastern part of India, that is Australia. And here, eastern part of Indian Ocean. On the western, this is Indian Ocean region. Right. Eastern part of Africa. So this is suppose Africa. Right. Visible? Africa. This is Australia. And these are Southeast Asia. Let me draw it again. This is Australian region. And this is suppose equator. So what happens in the Indian Ocean dipole when we use the word? Remember, it's a simple concept, Indian Ocean dipole. What is that? It's the temperature difference between the western part of Indian Ocean and the eastern part of Indian Ocean. What is it? The temperature difference. Right? It's just the temperature difference between these two regions. Now, what is the condition? If the temperature on the western part of Indian Ocean is higher at equator, western part of Indian Ocean is higher than the temperature at the eastern part of Indian Ocean. Temperature on the eastern part of Indian Ocean. This condition is called as positive. This condition is called as positive Indian Ocean dipole. Right? And if you ask why does it happen? It's because you see what are the direction of the ocean currents generally? Ocean currents move from east to west. So there'll be piling of warm water on the western side. So temperature on the western part of Indian Ocean will be higher than eastern part of Indian Ocean, positive. And if this remains positive till the month of April or say May, June, it's very good because during the southwest monsoon winds, when winds reach to this region, like suppose when southwest monsoon comes here, southwest winds come here, they will carry this warm water, right? They will carry this warm water towards India. Right? Warm water will reach towards India. And if the warm water reaches to India, then there'll be higher rainfall, right? Better rainfall. So having positive Indian Ocean dipole is good for India because when southwest monsoon reaches India, these southwest winds will carry more water towards Indian Ocean, Indian Peninsula. So it's called as positive Indian Ocean dipole. Exactly reverse of that is called as Indian Ocean, negative Indian Ocean dipole. Like suppose if I reverse this phenomena, and if the warm water is there on the eastern side, like suppose eastern side has a warmer water and there's a cold water on the western side of Indian Ocean at equator. This is called as negative Indian Ocean dipole. Why is it so? Some reversal of currents can also take place here. Eastern part of Indian Ocean is abnormally warmer than western part of Indian Ocean. As what is there in the El Nino case. El Nino is almost the same. right? Eastern part of Pacific Ocean gets warmer than the western part of Pacific Ocean. In India also the same thing can happen. Indian Ocean, sorry. Indian Ocean also the same thing can happen. Eastern part of Indian Ocean is warmer than the western part of Indian Ocean, called as negative Indian Ocean dipole. Right? And this reversal effect is also called as Indian Nino. Like we have a term El Nino. So this is an Indian Nino phenomena. How will it affect? Suppose in the month of April, May, June, we have this negative Indian Ocean dipole. All the time we have a negative. That means western part has cold water. Now when southwest monsoon winds will arrive, when southwest monsoon regions will come towards India, this winds will reach India, they are going to carry cold water. Cold water matlab temperature is less, right? Rainfall will get suppressed. Rainfall gets suppressed. This is what is called as negative Indian Ocean dipole and impact on Indian monsoon. Clear? So that is about Indian Ocean aspect. So I hope you got the point. If you have questions, you can ask. Yeah. Pratik. There's a news regarding weakening of Earth's magnetic field. Can you throw some light on the same? See, it is not weakening of magnetic. Discussion on internal structure of Earth. I think the first class was on the internal structure of Earth also. So you have, we discussed that geomagnetism in that it has got a self-styled dynamo and so on. And in the very next discussion, we said that there is a paleomagnetism, that is Earth's magnetic field keeps on changing and it reverses in about 1 million years or so, like 780,000 years or so, it reverses itself. So while it is reversing, the magnetic poles change their position. It's also sometimes called as magnetic excursion. Excursion because it keeps on changing, and it's related to the kind of response to sun's magnetism, a very intricate phenomena which I said not required for general studies, so I didn't discuss this particular point. And this gives rise to the weakening of magnetic poles, rather magnetic lines at the polar areas, right? This has the magnetic lines, or you can say magnetic orientation of Earth has never remained constant in the entire geological history of Earth. It has kept on changing. So while it is changing, obviously the magnetic poles will get weaker, right? So that is what is probably the reason for that. Anyways, but we'll wait, like let's see what comes in the newspapers, right? Next is okay. Swaraj has a question. A couple of questions are asked in Mineral Resource and CSE 2020. The NCERTs of 11th and 12th do not have that. From where to read this? Okay, now 11th, 12th class NCERTs have some mineral resources. If you read it carefully, there are mineral resources mentioned in NCERTs, and the questions that were asked on mineral resources, they are those questions which have been in the news in the recent years, like shale gas, like coal distribution and the change in the policy of coal bed methane, coal mining, like there's a change in the policy. Some amendments have been made in the coal policy extraction. Then coal bed methane, that is important. Uranium mines and the nuclear material that is extracted. You should go through that. You will get it in the NCERTs, maybe not the advanced one, but if you read your other sources like newspapers carefully, India Yearbook carefully, and our current material carefully, you would find that we have mentioned at many places about the mining zones of India and what are the different mines. So there is a chapter on resources. You must go through that. Please go through this chapter on resources. You will find this. It is there in 12th standard NCERT India Geography. You will find this. Right? So you should be, I think, getting these questions. So any further questions that you have, you can also switch on the mic and ask us questions if it is there.
So can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. Please go
Sir,
ahead.
how plateaus are formed, sir? I understand how fold mountains are formed. Sir, it's because of the lava that is emerges out of
Can you please repeat the question?
Sir, how plateaus are formed? Plateaus.
Acha, the plateaus. Okay. What's your name?
Manu, sir.
Manu. See, Manu, plateaus are of various types. It's not just one type of plateau. Plateaus are of volcanic in origin. Plateaus are structural plateaus. Plateaus are erosional plateaus. There are intermountain. So plateaus, number one, like say intermountain plateaus, like Iran, plateau of Iran, which is between Zagros and Elbrus. Plateau in Turkey, Anatolia Plateau, which is between Elbrus and Taurus Mountains, or for that matter, Tibetan Plateau. These are intermountain plateaus. Intermountain plateaus are formed because of folding process. Right?
Sir,
it's a table-like land that goes on. It's because of folding process.
1 minute, sir. So, general, what plateau means, sir? The general definition, plateau definition.
Okay, I'll come to that also. Okay, so second type of plateau. This is for everyone. The second type of plateau is a volcanic plateau, which is formed because of accumulation of basic lava. Like Deccan is an example, or Hawaiian plateau. Third is a kind of structural plateau, which can also be formed by erosion. So, what is a plateau? It's a table-like land which has a steeper slope and a flat top. Extreme steep slopes, just like mountains. So steep slopes with a flat tops, they are called as plateaus. So this is how plateau formation can take place there, because there are different types of plateaus. So formation of plateau will also be different. All right, Manu.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Manu. So I guess that is it. So then I guess you do not have any further questions. So if it is there, within few minutes we'll be, closing the meeting, close the meeting. So if there's a question, please go through that. Yes, Manu, you have a question.
Sir, how waves are different from, sir? Waves are daily they are taking place, sir. Waves are due to the gravitational pull of the moon or due to different phenomena, sir. Waves.
See, waves, number one, they are more random than tides. They are also an outcome of gravitation. You cannot exclude gravitation there, right there. But waves are also generated by other factors like prevailing winds. If winds blow fast, waves are generated. So basically, wave is the transfer of energy. Disturbance is created in the water because of transfer of energy. Waves can also be generated by landslides. Waves can also be generated by earthquakes, like tsunami waves. They're the type of waves only. So waves are generated because of multiple factors, not just gravitation. But when you talk about tides, they're necessarily gravitational balance between sun and between moon and earth, and sometimes sun. So waves have multiple reasons. Gravitation is a factor, no doubt. There is a constant gravitational attraction between moon and earth, which generates these waves. Apart from that, other disturbances, prevailing winds, earthquakes, landslides, they can also generate waves.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Abhishek, what were forces suggested by? I guess it is Wegener. You have written one. Wegener for continental drift apart from gravitational pull of. See, what were the forces suggested by Wegener for continental drift? That's your question. So Wegener suggested. See, the only problem with the Wegener's theory, one of the problem with the Wegener's theory rather, was that he could not explain the forces responsible for the movement of continents. Whatever forces he said that were the inadequate forces. So one was, he said, the northwestward movement of continent is because of tidal pull of moon, right? So tidal pull of moon is responsible for the northwestern movement of continent. Example. Then he said that there is an equatorward pole fleeing force, right? And he said that buoyancy is not accurate. Buoyancy is not directly towards the surface. What happens is the force of buoyancy should be perpendicular to the object, right? Which is exactly opposite to the weight. And he said because the earth has got a curve, the buoyancy will be tilted towards equator. So the force of buoyancy that asthenosphere is providing, or the mantle is providing, will take continents towards equator. Right? So that was what he actually mentioned, which were not, we should know that they're inadequate forces. And that is why plate tectonics then later explains the movement of continents. Right? So Anyways, that's all. If there are no further questions, then thank you. We will be arranging few more such meetings if we are doubts clearing sessions for all of you. And show your participations. We are thankful.
Thank you,
And
sir.
IQRA IAS will be always there with you, no doubt. And we will be working little more towards your doubts and reaching more to you, reaching the maximum we can, right? We also have our limitations, but then we'll try our best to clear your doubts and be a part of your preparation always.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you. Thank you to the team IQRA for arranging this meeting. I really wanted to have such doubt clearing session with all of you. Thank you. So see you in the next session and keep working hard. And those who are having any kind of problems and nothing, you have a Oja Sir's discourses at times, right? To ease you out and give you confidence. So
Yes.
we also have a great mentor with us always.
Yes, sir.
So anyways, see you again. Thank you.